Hi everybody, today we're going to take an updated look at some polling out of New Hampshire for president as well as for governor, so let's get right into it. We've got a brand new Emerson poll, and this was done with 837 registered voters. And the first thing we've got is Joe Biden sitting at a 43% approval rating. That's a 5-point increase from the previous poll in March. 46% of voters disapprove of the job he's doing, a 4% decrease since the March poll. Now we've got Governor Chris Sununu, who's not running for re-election next year to a 5th term. His approval rating is at 50%. Only 26% disapprove, so Sununu is still relatively popular. Sununu's approval has increased by 2 points, and his disapproval decreased by 4. And we've got a quote here: "The president's approval increase is fueled by a more unified approval among his party. 82% of Democrats approve of the job he's doing, a 14% increase from March." It's not completely unexpected. Usually as you get more into an election season, support does solidify amongst your own party. There's always exceptions, but at least in this poll, it looks like Biden is on the incline with Democrats. Now we've got the presidential primaries. On the Republican side, Donald Trump is at 49%. That is a 40-point advantage over second place, which is actually Chris Christie. It's not Ron DeSantis. It's not Vivek Ramaswamy. Christie is trying to make a move in New Hampshire. So far, it's gotten him second place. But going from 9% to 49%, there is no chance that's going to happen. In the previous March poll, Trump had a 41% lead, so not much change in this GOP primary, except Christie going up to second place over Ron DeSantis. We've still got 13% undecided. With another Trump indictment, maybe that changes things, but it also might strengthen Trump's appeal yet again. They also single out middle-aged adults here. They're less favorable of Ron DeSantis. Only 4% of voters 30 to 49 would support DeSantis. 56% support Trump. Now how about the Democrats? Biden has 65% support. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's at 12%. Marianne Williamson is at 4%. 19% undecided. This seems mostly in line with what we've been seeing. Both candidates with a massive lead. Biden being the incumbent and seemingly less baggage, he is more dominant in his primary over Trump. Now how about the general election? Between Trump and Biden, Biden leads by 7, 48 to 41. 7% say someone else, 4% undecided. If you throw Cornell West into the mix, Trump loses 2 points, Biden loses 4. Biden still leads by 5, 44 to 39. 5% go to West, 6% someone else, 7% undecided. So when you throw Cornell West in, his support is not entirely coming from Joe Biden. Trump does go down too, and it seems like when you add the third option in here of West, someone else and undecided goes from 11 to 13%. That seems a little bit counterintuitive to have another choice, yet people want even another option, or they're even more unsure than they were before. So that's president. Now how about for governor? It's going to be an open seat. Chris Sununu is not going to run again. In my opinion, it goes down from likely Republican to a toss-up. Democrats have a viable pickup opportunity, but it's early. 52% are undecided. There's 2 candidates polled here: Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig and Cindy Warmington. She's the only Democrat on the Executive Council. 30% support Craig, 15% support Warmington. I haven't looked extensively into them, so we'll see if one emerges and runs a progressive campaign or one that's more centrist. Now how about the Republicans? They're a little bit more solidified, as 45% support former U.S. Senator Kelly Ayotte. Chuck Morris, he gets 9% support, then it's down from there. 35% are undecided. You might remember Chuck Morris. He narrowly lost the U.S. Senate nomination in the 2022 midterms. He was the more establishment choice. Chris Sununu supported him. He lost to Don Bolduc. Bolduc went down in flames. So 2 years later, it looks like it's going to be Kelly Ayotte as the Republican nominee. Plenty of time left, but it's much more wide open for the Democrats than it is for the Republicans. Ayotte, she's already won statewide, barely lost to Maggie Hassan in 2016. Her name recognition is going to be high, but she's been out of office for a little while. There might be some stuff to dig up. She's going to have to navigate the political landscape dealing with Donald Trump. That's a tall ask for someone like Ayotte in a purplish but more blue-leaning state. Now in the hypotheticals, Kelly Ayotte does lead Joyce Craig 46 to 37. Ayotte against Warmington, she leads 47 to 34. So that's a decent lead for Ayotte. She's not at a majority support. That completely makes sense. We've got more than a year to go. But if this is the starting point for Ayotte, already being in the mid to high 40s, I'm sure the Republicans feel like they're going to be able to hold this seat, at least at this point. But a ton is going to happen between now and Election Day, but that's that's where things look for the head-to-head matchup for governor. Next, we have a question about New Hampshire's status as the first in the nation primary. Well, there's a state law that has the presidential primary 7 or more days ahead of any other state's primary. 65% support the law, 10% opposed, 26% unsure. Republicans more likely to support it at 73%, Democrats at 59%. We'll have to see what happens there with the DNC moving the primary to South Carolina. Still a clear majority of all voters in New Hampshire want to be the first primary. Then there's another question about livability compared to Massachusetts. 61% say New Hampshire is a much better place to live, 30% say slightly, 8% say New Hampshire is slightly worse, 1% say New Hampshire is a much worse place to live. That's kind of an unusual question. I would guess they're going to support their own state. Republicans more supportive of New Hampshire being a much better place to live at 77 versus 41 for Democrats. Then there's a question about the most important issue facing New Hampshire. The top issue in New Hampshire is the economy, jobs, inflation, taxes. 32%, 21% say housing affordability. Then it's down from there with threats to democracy and healthcare. Then there's a paragraph here that says voter fraud was cited as the greatest threat to U.S. elections by 32% of voters, followed by voter suppression at 31%. 11% of voters are most concerned with foreign interference in U.S. elections, and 9% are concerned about voting machines malfunctioning. 10% of voters believe there are no significant threats to elections in the U.S. Of course, there's polarization with this question. 60% of Republicans point to voter fraud as the greatest threat, compared to just 11% of Democrats, while 55% of Democrats cite voter suppression as the greatest threat, compared to just 5% of Republicans. But how about the independents? Well, they're split. 31% say voter suppression is the greatest threat, 28% say voter fraud. So they threw that in at the very end, after the most important issue facing New Hampshire. There's no chart for it, but it's on there. Interesting results. It's the most current thing we've got. Emerson is fairly trusted with polling, and that's where things stand. I will leave it there for now, so let me know in the comments. What do you think about what's happening in New Hampshire? Does this poll change anything for you? What do you think about Chris Christie in second place? How competitive will the governor's election be? Who's going to be the nominee for the Democrats? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.